It really was, I had no competition. My only competition was T.I. And to me, he wasn't no competition to me. I felt like, nah, I'm that nigga.
And I was on tour with Jody Breeze. Like, Jody Breeze was the guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like, all the girls loved Jody. Like, we on the bus, like, damn, like I got a $100,000 Rolex. You don't see this shit? What's going on? You know what I'm saying?
Jody Breeze, born June 11th, 1984. In the early 90s, hip-hop was transitioning from the immense disco and funk influence of the 80s, experiments that became a success like LL Cool J including melodic hooks into his music, or Run DMC and their incorporating rock to their music in order to reach new audiences, the introduction of gangsta rap, as well as the conscious rap community establishing its dominance. By mid-decade, East Coast label Bad Boy Records would hit B.I.G. as shiny suit, mafioso, smooth criminal rap made its way to the forefront and placed head of the label producer, dancer, and rapper Sean Combs, aka Puffy, at center stage. From mid to late 90s, Bad Boy Records were the rap label in the game, leading into the 2000s where hip-hop would see even more change, mixing all the good of the 90s golden era with more mainstream beats, hooks, and dance moves. At that point, Atlanta had come from the shadows of the mid-90s groups like Outkast, Goody Mob, and Organized Noise, to the late 90s, early 2000s, Lil Jon, and the emergence of crunk and snap music that was perfect for the urban radio and celebration the early 2000s was. Puffy and just about every East Coast artist at the time had to adjust their strategy and either sit back and watch Atlanta and the South take things over completely, or find a way to play ball with what the rap streets were feeling at the time. One of Puffy's ideas was to branch out as a label into the Southern market and ride its wave instead of waiting for East Coast rap to dominate again. So Bad Boy South was created and a group called Boyz N Da Hood were formed. They were supposed to open Bad Boy to this new and intriguing Southern infatuation back when rap groups were still a thing in hip-hop. I still remember in 2005 when I was introduced to Boyz N Da Hood by their video Dem Boys, and remember immediately feeling that whoever the guy was with the dreads and beanie who laid a flawless Southern hook perfect for the instrumental and kinda reminded you of early Lil Wayne in sound and appearance was a star. Wayne was the hottest upcoming artist at the time, so any artist compared to him was guaranteed to at least get a look. I don't think anyone thought the normal looking guy in the back or on the side with the snowman oversized t-shirt would become one of the biggest Southern rappers of all time. That, believe it or not, was supposed to be Jody Breeze, a T.I. and Lil Wayne mixture in the perfect time to have success in that moment of hip-hop. In hindsight, Jody Breeze never came close to that, and an argument can be made that of his era, he may have had the biggest stunted growth of the last 20 years. What happened to Jody Breeze becoming a star? Let's talk about it. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth Music. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Jody Breeze is a rapper from Griffin, Georgia that started rapping at the age of 18, founded while rapping at a showcase intended to find the next R&B act in the area. Approached by an Atlanta manager named Noon, who asked him how serious he was about being a rapper, Jody responded he was open to leave the streets and give it a try. He's linked with Block Entertainment's Russell Block Spencer, who eventually links him with Puffy, who was looking for down south artists, Atlanta in particular. Jody Breeze is added to the Bad Boy family along with Young Jeezy, Big Duke, and Big Gee to form Boyz N Da Hood, whose hit song Dem Boys was released in 2005 and became a major urban hit, making Billboard's top 13 hot rap songs and 56 of the top 100. Boyz N Da Hood were the new group on the block, and Jody Breeze was touted as the featured artist, as far as fans immediately attaching to him for his distinct look and sound, resembling what was hot at the time. Their group album released in 2005 and was a top 5 Billboard album and number 1 for hip-hop and R&B. Stunt number 1, Jeezy Going Solo. Initially, what threw Jody Breeze off, in my opinion, was Jeezy leaving to go solo after dropping one album with the group. It took away momentum from the entire group, and make matters worse, Jeezy quickly fell into his lane as Atlanta's next solo superstar. He released his album Let's Get It, Thug Motivation 101 just a month after Boyz N Da Hood's debut that instantly put him in the conversation of hottest rappers in the game. The album went double platinum, #1 in hip-hop and R&B, and #2 on the top 200. This meant all the momentum Boyz N Da Hood had was halted, one because Jeezy now had to go on and promote himself as an artist and his highly regarded solo album, and not Boyz N Da Hood's project that just released. It also made Boyz N Da Hood seem like yesterday's news, like anything is when losing its best element. Now the rap world was focused on Jeezy as he took over the street side of rap and became a superstar in the game for the next 10 to 15 years. As far as Boyz N Da Hood, losing Jeezy was a huge setback simply because the talent level had significantly fell off. Beside he and Jody, Boyz N Da Hood really had no potential future. Guy and Duke were older artists that were okay rappers, but nothing to them that could make them a star. Men wanna be you or women wanna be with you has always been the secret sauce. Jody Breeze was now responsible for whatever Boyz N Da Hood would become, and many expected him to take his place as a star as well. Stunt number 2 didn't meet expectations. Whether Jeezy leaving or a talent issue, bad timing, bad management, whatever, Boyz N Da Hood nor Jody Breeze stepped up to the plate in a crucial time where their fans waited to see what they would do post Young Jeezy. Their second album was most important. Should that album produce more hits and Jody Breeze become the star expected on it, Jeezy leaving and taking the momentum with him wouldn't have mattered much. It took 2 years before they'd release album 2, and in that span, Jeezy had released another album in 2006 that was #1 across the board, representing Jeezy entering his prime. Jody Breeze nor Boyz N Da Hood released any music of significance in 2006, building no mainstream momentum for their upcoming album. Needless to say, when it released, it was a flop. It sold 15K first week and under 10K the next. No top 100 singles, although 51 on Billboard's 200, mostly still feeding off the success of album 1. Jody Breeze was also a huge disappointment on the album, as his sound, look, nor appeal took a step in the right direction. It was like the feeling of not much money was thrown behind he or the group, and they failed to create a reason fans should continue to pay attention. Gorilla Zoe replaced Jeezy, but he was nowhere near the talent Jeezy was, he too going solo soon after. Stunt number 3, Jody was confused. Lastly, I think Jody was confused as to what was going on. Whether he ever realized what was at stake or not, time caught up and soon no one really cared. Many rappers make the mistake of not understanding the power of the music industry and making music that could last a lifetime. Rappers from a certain place, referred to as the streets, that get into rap don't always realize or have a want to change the things that they do in the streets and take music seriously. Also, record companies have always supported street guys doing street actions, as it creates more controversy and in turn sells more albums. In that way, there's no urgent incentive for a rapper to place both feet in music. To them, if they don't have the streets, then who are they? In watching Jody Breeze interviews, he always seemed concerned with making sure viewers understood he wasn't a rapper, but instead a street guy, which I never really personally understood. Knowing what I know, street guys don't want to be in the streets, much less let the world know they are. So him constantly saying that in interviews always seemed weird. But again, street artists understand that is most times what labels and also fans want to see and hear. They want to live through you and be destructive through you. But when your career needs support, they aren't anywhere to be found. Jody Breeze, what I'm trying to say, never seemed to take rap seriously, putting the time into his craft and focused too much on his name in the streets. With the opportunities he had, this only could mean he was and seems to still be confused. We don't care about you being street. Can you make good music or not? Jody Breeze nor Boyz N Da Hood made good enough music after Jeezy, partly because their new leader didn't take things seriously. All in all, because of the name Boyz N Da Hood had at one point, Jody Breeze will always have at least some fans paying attention. But as far as his potential to be what many expected, for these reasons, his growth was stunted. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth Music, and I'm out.